Welcome back. Another day working out in the garage. Two-stall garage. Anyways, today's video, we are again working on that beast, the C10, because I'm quite honestly sick of doing body work right now. Because I've been doing body work for the last 4 days. Yeah, garage is a mess, you can see. What are we doing body work on? The Bertus, duh. Anyways, I'm taking a break because I'm going to do that. You get done doing that, I might make another video and do this because I got my parts in finally that I've been waiting for the last 2 months. Anyways, so on today's video, what are we doing? We're installing this bad unit that I've had for quite some time. What is it? I don't know. It's a Dakota Digital Cruise Control setup. So I originally ordered this for Bert 2 years ago before we went on Power Tour. And it's been sitting in the box almost 2 years to the day. When was Power Tour 2 years ago? It was in August 23rd to the 27th. So yeah, almost 2 years to the day that this thing's been sitting on my shelf. Why did I decide to put it in Angus? Well, because Bert's probably going to be off the road for another bit. But I got road trip stuff planned for that thing, and I like cruise control. So let's get into what the kit has. Now, when you unbox it, it's got everything you need. Instructions, those are helpful. They also have a YouTube channel that goes exactly through the instructions. Pretty darn simple, to be honest. You got the little module box, the brains of the operation here. Gives a little background on where stuff should be for adjusting. We'll get into that here a little bit later. It's got a nice harness to it, fusible links, and plugs, adapter-roonies. You get some of this, the little loom, Fruit of the Loom. We get some more connectors. This I think is our dash, yeah, this is our dash mount switch. So we'll get that. Come on, cruise control. Yeah, that's a switch that will go in our dash. These are all little fittings and contraptions and majiggers, zip ties, you know, all the stuff to make it link up to our throttle, make it work. Got some bracketry, a couple different types of brackets. I'm assuming one is probably to mount the box somewhere, and then the other one is to maybe do that for our, to pull it to give us our throttle. So that's normal kit. Now, additionally, if you are putting this in an older vehicle with something like a 700R4 or something like that, where you got the cable-driven, whatever, or you're not electronic transmission, and you don't have a computer to say, oh, well, I have, you know, vehicle speed sensor, the VCSS, not the Super Sports. You got to get one of these things. And what this is cruise control sender with cable. Basically, what it does is it intercepts where your thing is, and by thing I mean your speedometer cable goes through there, plugs into the side of the transmission, and then your speedometer cable plug in there. And what it does is it actually puts off a it's got a little magneto and junk in there, and gives a vehicle speed sensor signal, so that can tell your beep boop boxy majigger how fast you're going, if you're cruising, if you're slowing down, so it can pull on it and slow it down, whatever. So they got the whole setup. As I said, it was going in Bert. So we're not going to need this because it's going in Angus now, and Angus has still got the 4L60E in it. So I got the vehicle speed sensor that's coming off of my computer that's already doing that. So we already got it. We're going to use that. So let's get into this thing. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so sure. I'm going to start by unhooking the battery. And what we're going to want to do is we got to find a location where we want to put the unit out of the weather. Why is that lug loose? That's okay. All right, we'll fix that later. So you want to put the box somewhere out of the weather. Typical GM stuff is over here. I'm thinking maybe mount it right here. I don't know yet, but we got to get our VTEC thing off of the engine house. And the kit is kind of universal. It'll allow for, you know, lever style throttle linkage stuff. It'll also allow for cable driven, like what we have. Come on, because yeah, our cable's right there. So we will get in here and figure out our cable routing, how we're going to hook it to this. We might even be able to use this. I don't know. I think this is actually for the cruise control, and this is the factory one for the truck, and I just left it, used it for, because I had a straight 6 in here. But we'll see what we can do. Maybe we can use that and it'll work. I don't know. Also, if you're wondering what this is my vent for my gas tank, because I had it into here and truck seemed to be running silly, so I just kind of did that for right now. Anyways, back to cruise. You got to grab out this bracket, and trying to figure out where the thing's got to live is, you know, up to you. So yeah, that 25 bracket, I originally was going to do something like that and just put a 90-degree bend on this, but if I do that, where the cable, this thing ends up sitting right here, is going to have too much of a swoop-de-doop that's not going to work, and then at that point the cable's not going to reach. It's only going to come to like right here. So what I think I'm going to end up doing, and do some more figuring, is I'm going to mount it like this, but put it back that way, and then I'll put a twist on this, and then that way the cruise control box, when I get it mounted up, cruise control box, when I get it mounted up, can live like right here, and that'll give us plenty of space for our cable to run over to our throttle. We should be good. Our brackets mounted there. I did decide to go back on the firewall, some self tappers, and it should mount up right here. We should have plenty of clearance from our hinge to go down in there. Got pretty much a straighter, more straighter shot, gradual bends to our cable hook on our majigger over here. So yeah, we're gonna bring that back onto the workbench, and we're gonna get the cable prepped. Okay, so back on the workbench here, we got a couple things we got to get it prepped for getting installed. First, if we go by our instructions here, we got 3 adapters we can use, snap-in style, which will be, I think this one, GM blank adapter, which is this one, and then we just have an anchor style, which is this little guy here, and on the thing, and whatever. Either way, we have to start by threading in this nut. I just have it loosely put on there. Comes with a couple of them, and we got to thread the cable here. So that'll just depend on what kind of adjustment we want to have on it. So I guess I'm going to go back probably, I don't know, looks like that one, maybe 4 inches. So I'm going to come back to somewhere around here threading it. Simple 11 mil, just twist it on and thread it. So as I said, you just put her on there, and then you just make sure it's somewhat straight. Just simply start threading it on. We're going to be able to adjust this cable to where we need to. So I'm going to finish threading this out and move on to the next step on our constructions. So here's what I ended up opting for. I just simply drilled a hole in my current bracket that I had, slid the cable in there with the nut that we used to make our threads on. Got in there about halfway, go from there. Then it comes with another nut. We'll just put it on there, and then boom, we got our clampages going on like we need to. For the adapter, I just used this side adapter and clipped it onto the post like they showed in the instructions. Of course, we're not using this, that's where that should be, but either way, it's got a little chain and some adapters, and then we'll put it right here to the cable. We'll have to go through, figure out our set and everything, but all in all, pretty happy with that. And we got enough slack, we can run our cable behind our booster and tie it off. So I'm gonna get all this hooked up, do that, and then we'll worry about wiring. So an important step you got to do now is measure your throttle cable, you know, the snap on it. So what they say, put a mark right here, crack it wide open throttle, and then put a mark on the cable too, which you can see that I've done. And then you measure it, and what you're looking for is 1 inch or 5/8 or less. So if you go through and you're 1 inch 5/8 or more, what you got to do is you got to add some length to it because of the way that the setup works, and it's not going to work with that much play in it. So you got to do this maneuver and whatever else. We measured it. Now we move on to page 12. So page 12 is installation and attaching the cable to the throttle. So I'm going to go through, read on this, figure out how and why and whatever else we got to do, and then go from there. So this part I'm just guessing because I read the instructions quite a few times and I can't figure it out. But now we measured it. You know, I don't know if this has got to be all the way in or all the way out. I'm assuming it's got to be out, and then the cruise control pulls it back, and that's what gives your throttle. So we're just going to have it all the way out with our adapters on there, and we're going to measure it to where we need to, and then I'm going to cut it probably right in there somewhere. We'll connect it, make sure it's taut, nothing's free, and then we'll move on to our wiring. All the fun stuff now is done. Wire's all done, hooked to the brake switch, hot, cold, side. We got a ground, we got an ignition source, we got our selector. Probably gonna mount it here at some point when I get that all taken care of. Yeah, now we're just on to throwing stuff back together and doing probably a diagnostic check on it, make sure it's all good to go. Okay, final step. It's got the vehicle speed sensor wire. I kind of just wire nutted for right now. I want to make sure it works, and then I'm going to clean up that when I get it running. We got to go through and program the switches. So there's the switch settings, and if you don't know what application you're going to use, follow this guide. It's got a chart on the back. Just go 1 through 12 and then answer yes, no on your switches. And those are on the bottom of your box here. Open up this little grommet. You can see the switches are in there. So I'm going to go through, make sure all my switches are good to go. And then there's a troubleshooting diagnostics I'm going to run to make sure all the wires are hooked up right. And we'll go out and test it. Oh, hey, didn't see you there. It's actually the next day. Yeah, why is that, you ask? Well, because I was going through doing the troubleshooting on guys here, and it's not working. It's not working. I don't know why. Have some ideas. First order of business that I missed was on the switch here. It has these excess wires that come off of it. And when I was going through the instructions here, I neglected to see that they got to get hooked up. So this pink one's not used. These are blah. So, cool. I hooked those up. Switch started coming to life, coming on, looking like it was, lit up at least. Still ain't got nothing. So, I mean, the wiring is very, 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 very straightforward. So, obviously I started by checking there's a 10 amp fuse right there, and there's a 4 amp fuse right there. Got the multimeter out, tested on them. The other one's right up here somewhere. Tested it. Nope. Okay, now what? Well, there's my mess of wires that I have run up to the unit in there. It has this little pigtail. I'm like, okay. So I got the multimeter out, and this red one right here is supposed to be the power that goes to the unit over there, like a keyed ignition source. Well, I ain't got the 12 V's in there. Ain't got nothing. It's interesting. So I jumpered it with this, and I put the 12Vs to it, and I got the little box to flash a minute. It was just like, boop, flashed, and I started it up. And this switch started working where I pushed it on, and the actual on light came on. But I still couldn't enter test mode. Went to go take it for a drive, and still nothing. So now I'm on to the point of that wire harness is about 50 feet too long, and I think I'm just going to cut and splice and solder all those together and get rid of that harness and make it shorter and kind of start from scratch from rewiring, because sometimes that's what you got to do. So the other fun part is I got rain moving in. Yeah. So I got about an hour to get this done. Well, it rained, took a break. Figured out that apparently my switch for the brake lights isn't given the proper power. So what I did is I took the 4 amp that it needs right down there, and I hardwired it into a 12 volt source, and I got everything to work. Now I'm having a problem with getting it to go into diagnostics mode, so I can actually do some diagnostics on it and make sure that my vehicle speed sensor is working and everything else is working as per the constructions. Well, we got her working. Clicked her up there, picking up. Not bad. The problem I have is, let's shut her off now. Problem I have is that violet wire, I had to ground it out, because I figured out in diagnostic mode after reading the instructions that it had to be grounded out. It wasn't seeing a ground, and it has to do with my brake light junk right there. So that just means now I gotta rig up maybe a relay, I think. Something, but we work. It's working. It's working. So that's basically what I ended up building, was just a relay with a ground, and hook it up to whatever, and I'll hook it up to the brake light and then to the purple, and then we should be good to go. So that's gonna wrap this one up. It's back up running. Had to do the relay. Pays to, follow the directions and read them through. Do some research on them. It's raining again. Anyways, thanks everyone for watching. Like, subscribe, share, comment below. Tell me I'm an idiot, because I am. And I got some tools I'm going to clean up. See you in the next one.